This is the Sprinter Mom with Lashes On podcast.
My name is Sara Centers. My podcast is Sprinter Mom with Lashes On. And how am I sitting here? I have no idea, but I'm dressed and I curled my hair and I'm excited to introduce myself to you. I'm actually literally going to read my description because then from my description, I feel like I can explain myself more. But my description that you will see underneath my podcast information is meet Sara Centers, aka the Momager, and foster and adoptive mom of 11. Get ready to step into the world of motherhood as Sara takes you on a thrilling roller coaster ride through her busy household, thriving marriage, and successful family business, all while proving that finding peace in the chaos and having time for self-care is well within your reach. Sara isn't your typical hot mess mom. It sounds funny, I'm talking about myself. She's bougie and she's got the lashes to prove it. With each episode, Sara shares her candid, hilarious, and heartwarming perspective on life, from navigating the unique challenges of parenting a big family to finding joy in the everyday routine. Sara may not have all the answers, but she's learned to give herself grace in hopes that you will too. If you're a mom in need of an outlet and a guide to managing the highs and lows of parenting in today's really messy world, you found your match. Sprinter Mom with Lashes On is your go-to podcast for laughter, insights, and the reassurance that, just like Sara, you can handle it all and still look fabulous. And it's so funny as I read that because I realize it says handle it all, but I do not handle it all. I have a husband that helps. I have a nanny / full-time assistant that helps. I have another side nanny that also helps. And we have a big family and group of friends that support us and come around us. So yeah, I'm not handling it all, but I do try to look fabulous some days. And I do try to do my best. And that's kind of what we ask of our kids. We're just doing our best. And as long as you're giving it your all, great. That's all we can ask of you. So let me explain myself a little bit and the reason behind this. That was kind of more of my intro and the definition and like some of the, I guess when you look at the podcast, you'll see, oh, this is what maybe Sara will be talking about. But I thought that in the beginning, you could get to know me a little bit and the reasons behind starting a podcast. I am an Arizona native of 39 years now. I grew up in the Phoenix Metro Center area, ended up around high school, moving to the Arrowhead area, much cooler, North Peoria. And since then, went to NAU, met my husband, and we have lived all over Phoenix, really. And we just love the valley. So we're here probably forever. Will one day, do we want to have a little beach house somewhere? Absolutely. Do we want to live in California? No. So we'll see what kind of happens from there. But as I have been aging, which sounds funny, as I've been aging, I feel like there's just been so many seasons of my life, and there are for women, where when you have kids, a lot of people say they like lose a part of themselves. And there was a time too where like I, struggled with depression and it was just a lot of stuff happening and your hormones get out of whack and a little postpartum that was never treated. Anyway, one thing after another. And you lose your hobbies, you lose the things that used to give you joy. And now your children give you joy. And so that's amazing too. But I think having a chance to now look back and reflect on my parenting styles or being a new wife or just the time that we have lived and experienced, I wish that someone could have spoke into my life in certain areas. And luckily, Ryan and I have always surrounded ourselves with mentors from the church. We have great parents that have a lot of wisdom. But the one thing that we were always running into is that we became foster parents when my daughter was a year old. And no one in our family had done foster care. And friends closest to us had not done it as well. We were early 20s, and most of the families that were doing foster care were much older than us, which should have been a sign we could have waited. But most of the families were much older and had already raised kids, and we had not. So trying to find a podcast, which podcasts weren't really a thing then, but looking through blogs and scrolling through blogs was what women used to do because that's what we had. And so I would read through parenting blogs, which were always really helpful, but they were parenting blogs and not necessarily foster parent blogs. And I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. One being that confidentiality, there are so many things we can and can't share. But the second thing is that I think that foster care sometimes is so messy that people wouldn't want to share because sometimes you like don't want to give the bad because you want people to do the mission. And so it's like this balance of, ooh, what do I share? What do I not share? And for a while, I actually started my own blog. Oh man, what was that called? It was like Mom Against the Selfie or, I'm going to have to look that up. Anyway, I started a blog and I would talk about my experience fostering. And it was really healing and like therapeutic for me just to be able to kind of put in writing how I was feeling as a young parent and going through the system and dealing with caseworkers or having WIC checks and feeling like judged because I had WIC checks, knowing that it was like super helpful to have them because we needed like the extra food for the kids we were caring for at the time. So just being able to like write down these experiences was really therapeutic for me. And I was able to share, and it was just, to me, it became a hobby, but it was helpful knowing I can share the good and the bad, and people enjoyed reading it. And so I ended up stopping sharing some of that because one, my kids' stories are their stories, but two, sometimes being in the public eye and sharing certain things about your life is not so great. And I don't take harmful comments very well or haters. And so I stopped and I took everything down, and I really just, Ryan and I started a business, which I'll talk about later, but Ryan and I started a business and we focused on the business, and that's all I had time for was the business and my kids. And so here I am now, starting this podcast, knowing that whether you're a parent or not, I feel like women in general go through seasons of life where you do feel like you lose yourself or you lose a part of yourself. But I actually don't think you're losing anything. I think we just all change and shift as adults and mature and go through experiences that we really solidify who we are, what we believe in, what our values are, the people we want to surround ourselves with, all the ins and outs. And so I'm in a place where I have surrounded myself with the right people. I want to chat with them. That it's actually funny. They're like at my average friends, the most average people that you would meet. But that's where I think you find wisdom and authenticity instead of listening to the celebrities because their life is so out there and so grandiose. And I just feel like their life might not look like mine based off of, my children or whatnot. But also like, I don't know, we're all just regular people doing our best, trying to raise our kids well, trying to love others and serve others. And yeah.
Thanks for joining us today for the Sprinter Mom with Lashes On podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.